Here is the blunt question. When Debra Morgan chose Dexter over the badge in Season 7, Episode 12 at the shipping yard, was that love, loyalty, or denial? And can we prove which one with receipts? This is commentary and critique for education and entertainment. Major spoilers ahead. Before we slice into the case file, drop one episode in the comments plus a one-line theory on why Deb stays. I will test your pick against what the camera shows and pay it off with a stronger receipt near the end. Start at origin, not ending. Season 1, Episode 1 gives you the template. Deb, stuck in vice, begs Dexter for help on the ice truck case, eyes hungry for approval under harsh fluorescent light. She tells him he is the only one who really sees how her mind works. That is idolization layered over professional ambition. It is also the first brick in a house where Dexter's attention is oxygen. Now jump to Season 6, Episodes 10 and 11. Therapy scenes are framed tight. Deb's hands twist, eyes skitter, silence stretches, and finally the admission lands she has romantic feelings for Dexter. Not flirtatious, not passing, romantic. The show does not coyly imply it, it locks us in the room while she says it out loud. Curiosity loop. Is this bolt from nowhere, or has the ground been tilting for years? Hold that. We will test it against earlier behavior and later consequences. Pattern interrupt. If Deb's confession is out of character, then it should not fit prior choices. But Season 5, Episode 12 already shows her boundary line moving. In an abandoned site draped with plastic sheeting, Deb stands on one side of the plastic talking to the hidden vigilantes responsible for the Barrel Girl killers. She calls them two people who did a terrible thing to people who did a terrible thing, then lets them walk. She does not know it is Dexter and Lumen, but practically she chooses love of a story over love of procedure. That is not collapse, that is precedent. The night that blows the doors off the house arrives in Season 6, Episode 12. Deb enters the abandoned church and sees Dexter killing Travis Marshall, altar plastic gleaming under work lights. The camera bounces between her breath hitching and Dexter's unflinching voice as he tries to supply a frame compulsion, code, containment. She does not arrest him on the spot. She freezes, then triages. Curiosity loop. What kind of bond overrides 15 years of trained reflex in that moment? The receipts say intimacy plus denial. We are about to stack them. Season 7, Episode 1 opens on aftermath and method. LaGuerta finds a single blood slide in the church rubble, held up between gloved fingers, a talisman from an old nightmare. In the same hour, Deb forces Dexter to move into her apartment and tries to supervise his every waking minute. She cleans the scene, burns the clothes, declares no more killing, then sets a watch, like a one-person internal affairs. If this is only romance, she should seek distance. If it is only loyalty, she should seek counsel. Instead, she seeks containment. Control Dexter, control herself, control the story. Pattern interrupt. If that is true, then Deb's obsession is not soft focus love, it is a systems response. She tries to rewrite the environment so the person she cannot leave does not kill, and the truth she cannot bear does not spread. That is loyalty as architecture. Season 7, Episode 2 adds the forensic proof of just how deep she digs. She ransacks Dexter's home, finds the blood slide trophy box and the knives hidden in the air vent, and confronts him in a kitchen lit like an interrogation room. The line between sister and detective collapses in a single cut. She is not guessing who he is, she is auditing it with evidence and still refusing the arrest. Her training screams for curiosity loop. What else would make a detective break her own chain of custody on her brother? We will answer that with the strongest receipt at the end. Let us study the jealous edge that fans felt long before therapy made it explicit. Season 5 shows Deb weirdly protective of Lumen she cannot see in, but she senses Dexter's emotional availability shifting and bristles. Season 7 escalates it with Hannah McKay. Deb pursues Hannah beyond safe professional distance, pushes for the confession, then begs Dexter to choose, weaponizing her authority and her intimacy in the same breath. On screen, you can watch the resentful protectiveness flare every time Hannah owns part of Dexter's attention that used to belong to Deb. Counter theory time. Maybe the love confession arc was a late, sensational twist that undercuts Deb's character. If that is true, the receipts should not form a line. But Season 1, Episode 1 shows idolization. Season 5, Episode 12 shows moral flexibility for a story she prefers. Season 6, Episodes 10 and 11 put the feeling in declarative language. Season 6, Episode 12 reveals the secret. Season 7, Episodes 1 and 2 show control behaviors that escalate as if designed to keep the object of fixation close. The line may be uncomfortable, but it is a line. We still owe the craft analysis of denial because it is not just feeling, it is a method. Watch Deb's dialogue whenever she is cornered by evidence. She reframes instead of refuting. In Season 7, Episode 2, she changes the question from, "Who are you?" to, "How do I stop you?" In Season 7, Episode 8, when she admits to Dexter that she was going to tell him she was in love with him the night of the church, she instantly pivots to boundaries. You cannot see Hannah, as if controlling an external variable will cauterize an internal wound. Denial here functions like a tourniquet. It buys time at a cost. Pattern interrupt. If this is only denial, it should crack under the weight of a righteous adversary. Enter Maria LaGuerta, Season 7's relentless conscience. LaGuerta's suspicion is procedural, not personal. She finds the slide and follows it. The way Deb reacts tells you everything. She does not recuse herself. She does not confess. She starts running interference for Dexter inside and outside the station. Loyalty displacing law in slow motion feels less like romance and more like a conversion. The ugliest truth arrives at penultimate and finale. Season 7, Episode 11 has Deb chasing Hannah to the edge and being poisoned for it, then still staggering back to the precinct, fueled by anger and something unnameable. And then Season 7, Episode 12, The Strongest Receipt, night at the shipping yard, container doors yawning like teeth. LaGuerta has Dexter cuffed. Deb arrives, gun shaking, eyes wet, years of identity screaming in both directions. The audio drops to near silence. She shoots LaGuerta in the chest. She does not kill a monster. She kills the cop, who is right. Ethics line. We are not glamorizing murder or collapse. We are analyzing the craft of character, how the show uses blocking, light, and dialogue to chart a believable, harrowing slide from loyalty to obsession to denial-driven crime. Now, the micro-vignette that humanizes it. Think of Deb in Season 4, after Rita's death, the way she anchors Dexter with touch while her own eyes are shell-shocked. She is the one who stays always. When that reflex meets a truth like the church, it does not vanish, it metastasizes. She applies the same "I will stay" to an object she should flee, and the show watches her burn. Counter theory number 2. Dexter manipulated Deb into obsession. Test it. He absolutely leverages her loyalty. Season 6, Episode 12. His calm narration in the church is a frame designed to keep her inside the circle. Season 7, Episode 1. He moves in and accepts the rules because proximity protects him. Season 7, Episode 8, he receives the love admission and does not break the bond. But Deb's engine is not Dexter's charisma. It is her own lifelong need to be the one who saves him. Rooted back in Season 1's Help Me, Dex. He exploits. He does not implant. Curiosity loop payoff. What finally proves whether this was love, loyalty, or denial? The Hospital. Season 8, Episode 12. Deb is alive, then post-operative, then catastrophically harmed by a stroke. The room is white and humming and merciless. Dexter makes the call, turns off the ventilator, and carries her body into the storm to lay her in the ocean. Watch Deb's face in those last scenes. There is no choice left for her to make, and that is the final indictment. Love did not empower her. Loyalty did not shield her. Denial left her without a self to fight for when it mattered most. We should also look at the scene that the show uses as a quiet control comparison. Back in Season 5, Episode 12, Deb could not see who was behind the plastic. She let 2 people go because the narrative she constructed made psychological sense to her, justice outside the law when the law fails. By Season 7, Episode 12, she knows exactly who is behind the metaphorical plastic, and she fires anyway. Same instinct, different knowledge. The progression is the point. Here is the forensic read. Love is a bond that seeks the other's good, even at cost. Loyalty is a bond that privileges the person over the system. Denial is a bond to a preferred story over available facts. Across seasons, Deb rotates through all three, but when the gun fires, denial is holding her wrist. The fact on the ground LaGuerta is right is discarded for the story that must survive. Dexter cannot be lost. That is not just bad judgment, that is a closed cognitive loop. Pattern interrupt for one more hard truth. If this were only love, then telling Dexter in season 7, episode 8, should have brought clarity. If it were only loyalty, then her plan after season 6, episode 12 would have been turn him in myself, because that is what loyalty to a person and their potential demands. The actual behavior is to contain, conceal, and eventually kill to preserve a narrative. That is denial wrapped in love language and marched under a loyalty banner. We owe the character her dignity while we render the verdict. Debra Morgan is not disgusting. She is heartbreakingly human, a person raised in an emotional drought who finds meaning in saving the one person who already had a savior. The show does not ask us to cheer her worst moment. It asks us to understand the machinery that made it possible. Here is the punchy verdict that echoes our hook. Debra's obsession is a three-part knot: love, loyalty, denial. But the strand that tightens at the trigger is denial. She loves Dexter and is loyal to him, yes, but when the evidence says stop, she clings to the story instead. That choice kills LaGuerta, collapses Deb's identity, and leaves her life to end in a white room with a switch. Type "I saw the receipts" if you will rewatch the therapy confession, the church discovery, and the shipping yard back to back. Subscribe to Scene Autopsy, where we solve television mysteries with receipts.